Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. I know that I certainly am after the wonderful news that we had yesterday, and even today, it just keeps coming. First of all, we've got several new posts to go over from our favorite Anon, and namely the information contained in the first one shows that Alan Dershowitz claims to have proof that Renegade ordered the investigation of an American citizen on behalf of a particular Hungarian philanthropist billionaire, someone who was a political enemy of sorts. Then we've also got some information coming out of the FBI Boston field office. Looks like a Massachusetts state representative has been arrested and his office has been raided on multiple charges. Also, it looks like the FBI has raided the law firm of Joe Biden's brother, James Biden. My friend Sombrero Blanco drops a little bit of information about CrowdStrike. He has personal first-hand information on that one. Then it looks like we've got more news about GS coming from Own and our friend Methods. And then finally, they have located Joseph Mifsud, the mysterious Maltese businessman, professor, whatever you want to call him. He was filmed with some hard-working women who are liberated, shall we say. All right, guys, we've got all this and maybe a little bit more, so please do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Hey, guys. Have any of you been watching gold recently and wondering how you could get in on the action? Well, this might come as a surprise, but you can without even buying any gold. Sure, gold has rocketed up recently, but hanging on its coattails and catching up fast is silver. Silver through Noble Gold. Like a dog that follows its master, silver follows gold, and in fact, sometimes it even overtakes it. And it's cheaper to buy, too. Gold is around 80 times the price of silver right now, and that's quite a discount on the dollar. But you stand to make the same kind of profit. Between December and January, silver made over 14%. Now just imagine the tax relief on top of that profit if you bought silver for your IRA or 401k. Wondering who can help with this? Well, Noble Gold can. The name has gold in it, but they offer silver, platinum, and skyrocketing palladium too. Tempted? Well, you can find out more by calling Noble Gold now and discovering how you can retire safely with silver. Call 877-646-5347 or go to noblegoldinvestments.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today in the posts, we have 3869. Dershowitz claims to have proof that Renegade ordered an FBI investigation at the request of GS. Now, first we have an embedded post from December 23rd, and it has a YouTube video, and it says, "Watch and listen carefully. D's threaten and cull independently elected officials to fall in line, follow orders, or face being ousted. Who controls the D party? Who really controls the D party? Threat. If a major political party can be controlled, does that represent a clear and present danger to the United States?" And it ends with GS in the kill box. Now, we know who that is. That is the Hungarian billionaire philanthropist named George. Now, today's post includes a tweet from Ryan Saavedra, and it says, "Purpose: D's install numerous rules and regulations regarding D party nomination winner. Define superdelegates. How do you control the outcome? Why is the outcome important? When GS calls who races to answer, and then illusion of democracy in the kill box." Clearly, we are being told that the true ruler and controller of the D party is GS himself. So let's go ahead and take a look at that tweet from Ryan, and then we'll look at the article. All right, so here it is directly from the Daily Wire. Alan Dershowitz says, "I have proof that Renegade ordered FBI investigation at the request of GS." Let's take a look. And here it was reported yesterday on the 17th. How fitting. It says Harvard Law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz revealed in an interview on Sunday that he has proof that former D President B.O. Renegade ordered the FBI to investigate someone after far-left billionaire George S. asked for the investigation. Dershowitz's remarks come after critics have attacked President Trump for tweeting about matters related to the Department of Justice, which led to Attorney General William Barr publicly asking the president to stop last week. There was a lot of White House control of the Justice Department during the Kennedy administration, and I don't think we saw very many liberal professors arguing against that, Dershowitz told Breitbart. I have some information as well about the renegade administration, which will be disclosed in a lawsuit at some point, but I'm not prepared to disclose it now, about how President Barry personally asked the FBI to investigate someone on behalf of George S., who was a close ally of his. We've seen this kind of White House influence on the Justice Department virtually in every Justice Department, Mr. Dershowitz continued. The difference, this president is much more overt about it. He tweets about it. Renegade whispered to the Justice Department about it. You said that GS asked BO to have his Justice Department investigate someone, Breitbart News pressed. That's going to come out in a lawsuit in the near future. Yeah, Dershowitz responded. I have in my possession the actual 302 form which documents this issue, and it will at the right time come out. But I'm not free to disclose it now because it's a case that has not yet been filed. All right, now, immediately this calls to mind something that Rudy Giuliani said a few months back. So let's go ahead and take a look at a clip that Methods was able to pull up. Now, first of all, I'm going to take us back to this clip here from the Ingram angle, and I want to remind you that GS has a history of funneling money into local elections in which there are very little turnout, in which it is very easy to buy the results of that election, and Bill Barr remarked on it back on December 20th of 2019.
There's been this recent development where George Soros has been coming in largely in Democratic primaries where there's not going to be much voter turnout and putting in a lot of money to elect people who are not very supportive of law enforcement and don't view the office as bringing to trial and prosecuting criminals, but pursuing other social agendas.
Attorney General Bill Barr is lambasting the insidious multi-million-dollar campaign led by liberal billionaire George Soros to get progressive prosecutors elected across the country.
Now, we're going to stop right there because we've already shown this clip on the broadcast before, but I want to draw your attention specifically here to St. Louis. St. Louis in Missouri is the place that we have spoken on numerous occasions about the prosecutor there who has a very adversarial relationship with local police officers, refusing to bring charges, actually trying to get officers removed and fired, and who is now embroiled in somewhat of a scandal due to some of the activities that she has engaged in that area. So now let's continue on to yet another clip, this time one with Rudy Giuliani. All right, and Method says, friendly reminder, Rudy said back in October that Trump has his lawyers already working on potential lawsuits against the Democrats. And this ties into what Alan Dershowitz was just quoted as saying that they have proof that the former administration asked the FBI to look into an American citizen. I'll give you a guess as to who that might be. I personally think that it's Donald Trump. And here in this clip from the story several months ago, Rudy Giuliani mentions much the same thing. Let's take a listen.
Perhaps.
Is it possible if we break this open, we're going to find out the Obama administration might be one of the more corrupt administrations in a very long time? Is it possible?
We'll see. I mean, we're going to follow.
And is it possible
we'll
the Democrats? Is it possible the Democrats would cover that up and fight for their lives and have Schiff going out violating laws in order to frame the president of the United States? And make no mistake about it, the president of the United States is extremely serious, and there are lawyers working on it right now about suing those guys directly, individually.
Yeah.
Not a joke, not a threat. It's a difficult legal endeavor, and we've got lawyers working on it as we speak.
All right, and there you have it in black and white. Rudy Giuliani alluding to these lawsuits, now Alan Dershowitz also alluding to these lawsuits, but specifically alluding to evidence that will be presented in them. How much bigger of a scandal is it going to be when we have the actual 302s with directives given by the President of the United States to investigate an American citizen and a political rival nonetheless? Clearly, the biggest scandal here is that a foreign national is controlling one of the largest political parties here in this country and who for many years was controlling this country. Does that mean that the entire time that we had the Democrats in power, that it was actually George S., that was giving the directions, that was giving the ultimatums, and was telling how to run this country. I think all you need to do is take a look at the direction our country went in over that last 8 years, how far we fell on the global stage, and you can see clearly that, yes, that is the case. And remember, how did George make his money? By destroying the currencies of entire nations. That is what he was looking to do here, and he was even looking to go much further by destroying the nation and its people. No United States, no global superpower, and no more borders, after which you can go ahead and flood the country with people who are non-citizens and can destabilize the entire region. All right, now we are asked to define superdelegates. So a superdelegate is a non-elected delegate to a presidential nominating convention, usually an office holder or influential party leader who is not pledged to support any particular candidate. They can change their vote at any time, change their support of any candidate, and at the 11th hour, it can make all the difference as to who the D party nomination for president might be. It's also known as a member of the D party who has been selected to attend the national convention to help select a nominee for president. Now, the way that you can control an entire party and eventually who gets nominated for president is by controlling these superdelegates. And you can control these superdelegates by controlling who you pay to get elected into these offices, and then they get the power to become a superdelegate. Now, these guys are major influential activists within the Democratic Party, and these are the people who are on the ground working with the money that is risen by certain people like GS. So if GS was to control all of the superdelegates, it would make all the difference, because Bernie Sanders could have all the support of the popular vote, but then at the very last moment, no superdelegates support him. They throw all of their weight behind the opposition candidate, someone who is more agreeable to GS's line of thinking, and then bam, you have the entire presidency. Now, here in this tweet from Methods and a clip from Own, an excellent channel, they talk about the fact that Soros-connected individuals have already infiltrated the U.S., and what they were specifically referring to is that St. Louis, Missouri area prosecutor, Kim Foxx. Now, it's interesting, they used the term their playbook on several different occasions, but what this story refers to is the attempted witch hunt to try to take down Missouri Governor Greitens. He was a Republican, a bit of an outsider, and when he came into office, he slashed almost 200,000 regulations. He also tried to take down a crooked lobbying firm all in his first year, so he was doing a really great job. But he was a major danger to the people seeking power in this area, and that would have been, anybody got a guess? That's right, it would have been GS, George Soros. Now, Governor Greitens did not commit any of these acts that they attempted to smear him with. The people that were accusing him were caught in their lies, and $180,000 came up missing, which was in fact attempted to be used to bribe these people into lying about Governor Greitens. All of this came out, and it is now something that Kim Foxx is facing in Missouri right there. I think that they're going to get her on this stuff, and it's just another example of how George gets into these local areas, puts these people in power. Then they can rise through the ranks, and if they don't end up in these elected official positions later on in life, then they can be activists in these areas, and they can become super delegates. Now, the next post, corporate media is politically motivated and controlled, fake news, 3870. We have this repost right here. People around the world are waking up to the fact that, not fiction, that the corporate D-party controlled media, 6 corporations own 90%. Media, fake news, is not unbiased journalism, but politically motivated and controlled. Statements, not facts. Think for yourself and stop being sheep to their narrative. They will be held accountable. Nobody walks away from this. And I think it's very timely that this was reposted, because in post 3871, we are reminded yet again of that investigation into an American. 3871, did GS order Barry to investigate Trump? And we have a post from 45 Harrison Herald. It says, do you really believe this attack can happen against the President of the United States and nothing will happen? Moves and countermoves. Let's take a look at Harrison's post. And we the people at 45 Harrison Herald, is this who GS made puppet Hussein investigate? Iran, I won. I was investigated, and it could have been the UK, by Australia, could have been by Italy. I was investigated by the renegade administration. This is a quote from President Trump in this video, very pointedly telling these reporters exactly what happened, what they refuse to believe. But very soon, it will be undoubtable, incontrovertible. The truth is coming out, and these people will answer for it. Let's go ahead and listen.
There was tremendous corruption against me. If we feel there's corruption, we have a right to go to a foreign country. And just so you know, I was investigated. Okay, me, in my campaign, I ran, I won. You won't say that, will you? I was investigated, and they think it could have been by UK. They think it could have been by Australia. They think it could have been by Italy. So when you get down to it, I was investigated by the Obama administration. I was investigated. So when these people talk, but as far as I'm concerned, what I want to look at and what we want to investigate, anything having to do with corruption.
He says it right there at the end. They are interested in investigating anything having to do with corruption. This is what his second term is going to be about in its entirety. The full and complete draining of the swamp. President Trump making no bones about what happened here in the run-up to his presidential administration. He was investigated. Do not think it's a coincidence here that President Trump says this so pointedly right after we get the notice from Alan Dershowitz, the notice from our favorite Anon, that an American citizen was investigated at the behest of one foreign national, a billionaire philanthropist who took over the D Party here in the United States and therefore gave the marching orders to renegade, to Hussein. This is what happened, guys, and this is what's coming out. These people are not going to get off scot-free. This is not going to be a slap on the wrist. It's like the investigation into McCabe. Weak charges against McCabe for lying to the FBI. What they really want to get him for is the coup to overthrow a democratically elected president of the United States of America. That right there is a slam dunk charge and a slam dunk case. Let's move on. And the next post is simply entitled Game Over. To be blunt, game over. And that's it, guys. There's nothing more to say. We are in the end game. It is ramping up and seriously going to get hot here before the end of the summer. It said earlier in another post from yesterday, it's going to be a hot spring and summer. And when we use this going into the 2020 election, it is going to be so good for President Trump. He will be reelected. Make no mistake about it. He will be reelected by a landslide because he is going to go through this country and completely wipe it clean of the corruption that has been ruling it for decades. Absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to see this happen. President Trump is clearly the best president we have ever had in the history of this nation. And the only reason I say so far is because we haven't seen who's running after him. All right, and speaking about corruption, speaking about draining the swamp, from the FBI Boston field office, breaking. Early this morning, a Massachusetts state representative, David Nangle, was arrested by FBI and IRS CI special agents at his home in Lowell on dozens of charges, including allegations he illegally used campaign funds. Details to follow at 10:30 a.m., and there's going to be a press conference. Well, here we have an image directly from the press conference. FBI Boston SAC Joe Bonavolante joins Massachusetts U.S. Attorney Andy Lelling and our partners at IRS CI to announce the arrest of Massachusetts State Representative David Nangle of Lowell, Massachusetts. He was taken into custody without incident and charged with embezzling campaign funds, bank fraud, and tax fraud. As a result of a joint investigation by FBI Boston and IRS CI, Massachusetts State Representative David Nangle was arrested today and charged with illegally using campaign funds for personal use, bank fraud, and tax fraud. Access the indictment here. And we have a quote here from Special Agent in Charge Joe Bonavolante. As alleged, Representative Nangle used his power of his position on Beacon Hill to fund a lifestyle out of his reach, unwittingly financed by those who put him him there while also cheating you, the taxpayers. Today's arrest should be a warning to others that corruption in any form at any level of government will not be tolerated. What do you guys think the chances are that President Trump knew about this arrest, knew that there was massive corruption taking place in Massachusetts and in many other places throughout the United States, and has been working with his administration to clean it up? This is not the first time we see an elected official in some place like Massachusetts get arrested. There have been several arrests of Democratic Party officials in Chicago, in Pennsylvania, in other places. Let's go ahead and take a look at who Representative David Nangle is. Well, no surprise here. David Nangle is a Democratic state representative out of Massachusetts, and it looks like he was using those campaign funds to sustain his gambling activities. He has represented Lowell and parts of Chelmsford in the 17th Middlesex District since 1999. Prosecutors allege the state representative was heavily in debt, had poor credit, and regular cash flow problems due to extensive gambling at casinos in Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. So kind of a tragic tale. At least he was using it to sustain gambling activities and not something even more nefarious, although this is not a good look for Massachusetts Democrats or Democrats the world over. All right, and my friend Sombrero Blanco White Hat on Twitter says, this is in regards to an own story. Former Ukraine envoy Bill Taylor says CrowdStrike server theory wasn't probed because the State Department didn't take it seriously. Well, he responds, that's because maybe it was swept under the rug because it was all BS and lent to the Russian narrative. Is it possible with CrowdStrike to make it look like someone else hacked in? I have an answer to that. Maybe we'll talk about it soon. So this is just a bit of a tease, letting you guys know that hopefully Sombrero Blanco is going to be coming on the show very soon to tell us his first-hand experience with how to manipulate these CrowdStrike results. Clearly, this program cannot be trusted, and neither can the organization who created it. And in more bad news for swamp creatures everywhere, looks like the FBI has raided a James Biden-tied business. Last month, FBI agents raided the home of the CEO of a bankrupt hospital chain in one of its hospitals in Pennsylvania in signs of trouble for a company that is central to accusations of influence peddling by James Biden, the brother of former Vice President Joe Biden. Now, it was disclosed in documents filed this month by the acting U.S. trustee overseeing the bankruptcy case of Florida-based AmeriCorps Holdings, which is in the business of acquiring and managing rural hospitals. Now, the filing in Kentucky by a federal trustee, Paul Randolph, seeks the appointment of a trustee specifically to oversee a bankruptcy case, or otherwise the dismissal of the firm's filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy from its creditors. It said the company's CEO, Grant White, had grossly mismanaged his business, has not operated the hospitals in a manner that is consistent with public safety, and improperly siphoned money from the debtors for his personal benefit. Now, they declared bankruptcy in December, and then on January 29th, the FBI raided White's home at an undisclosed location, and then the next day, one of the hospitals in Elwood City Medical Center of Pennsylvania. And then a week later, a Kentucky court granted a motion to remove White as CEO. Now, White has not responded to any comments or questions regarding the raiding of himself or his company, and the trustee did not mention the younger brother of the current Democratic presidential candidate. However, this past summer, James Biden and White were named in a lawsuit alleging fraud along with Biden's partner. Now, the lawsuit filed by a Tennessee businessman, Michael Frey, and his partner, Dr. Mohanad Azam, owners of Diverse Medical Management, also named Amer Rustam, another investor in AmeriCorps, along with Biden and Lewitt. So this looks to me like it is going to lead to some definite string pulling. They're going to be unraveling the sweater, and if James Biden is involved in this whole thing, then you can say that it's probably not going to end well. Now, it looks like James has alluded to his brother's clout in saying that this is not going to go anywhere and they don't need to worry. But in a text message, it says, Jim Biden told me, don't worry, every time someone threatens to sue you, you're with us now, nobody is going to touch you. And then according to the lawsuit, it was Frey's understanding that Lewitt was implying that Diverse Medical Management was protected because of Jim Biden's connections. If that doesn't sound like the very definition of influence peddling, I don't know what does. But we are certainly going to be keeping an eye on this story because it does not look good for the trailing Biden in the presidential election. As long as his brother continues to get in trouble, this seems like another case of the Tony Rodham syndrome. All right, and next, in the continuing efforts to drain the swamp, we have a report that Trump administration officials have reassigned Victoria Coates from the National Security Council. And the report also states that she was the anonymous author. Now, I want to let everyone know I've gotten a couple of different video clips from people from an interview President Trump gave on the tarmac today. And in that video clip, President Trump is asked if he knows who the anonymous author is. He says that, yes, he does know. He also knows who all the liars and leakers are, but he can't tell us. So it looks to me like Victoria Coates may have been identified as the individual to write that op-ed piece and then the subsequent book telling her inside tale of life inside the Trump administration. But if they've only reassigned her, that must mean that they've got something else at play, because what she did was a major affront to her oath, and it's very much on par with what Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and others did when people on the National Security Council tried to remove President Trump from office with this fake impeachment that we just made our way through. And unofficial reports have come out that White House staffers stood up and cheered as the brothers were escorted off of the White House grounds. Now, President Trump isn't done yet. We've got this report that Crooked Intelligence Committee Inspector General Michael Atkinson and Victoria Coates, the Deputy National Security Advisor, may also be asked to leave. Michael Atkinson being asked to leave is a majorly good thing. Victoria Coates is suspected of being that anonymous author who trashed President Trump, and the author is currently working on an anti-Trump book to smear Trump some more, so I guess it's not quite out yet. Now, it ends by saying that Coates' potential reassignment comes as President Trump, fresh from acquittal in his impeachment trial, institutes personnel moves to bring early loyalists back into the White House and test purges of staff he considers disloyal throughout the federal government. And as the commander-in-chief of this nation, he has every right to do so. President Trump deserves to have a cabinet and an administration that works with him and for him, not against him. And if Victoria Coates is firmly identified to be the one who is behind the anonymous op-ed and now this book that's coming out, it sure does seem like it would be a smart move to move her out of the White House and out of government altogether. Now, one more story. And last but not least, we have confirmed photos showing proof of life of deep state asset Joseph Mifsud. Remember, he went missing about 2 years ago and he was presumed dead, but very, very clearly in the images in this article right here, he is very much alive. Now, I cannot show these photographs on the air, so I'm going to have anyone who is an adult go to the link in the pinned comment below and go ahead and check it out. And that's about all I can say about that. He certainly is alive, though. All right, guys, it sure looks to me that the water level on the swamp is getting lower and lower as it gets drained more and more. And these swamp creatures are not going to have very many cracks and crevices in which to hide very much longer. I love to be able to bring you guys such incredible news. It's just going to get better from here on out. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. Just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to support this channel. If you'd like to see some ways that you can support the channel, you can always check the show notes in the pinned comment of this video below. Whether you like, whether you share, whether you make sure that your notifications are on, any way that you support this channel means so much to me. I could not be doing this without you, and I could not do it without your help. Without people like you, this channel would not exist, so thank you so much to everyone for all of their many means of support. Don't forget to check out the merchandise store that is also in the pinned comment, and I will see you guys next time.